All right, today we're diving deep into a traditional soup that's hiding a pretty amazing secret. You see, this whole dish is built on a culinary paradox. It's got textures that really shouldn't work together, but somehow they create absolute perfection in a bowl. And this right here gets to the heart of it. The whole point is to get these silky, smooth cubes of blood that just melt in your mouth, right next to intestines that have this incredible, satisfying, crispy snap. So how on earth do you balance two completely opposite textures in one dish so perfectly? Well, that's our mission today. We're going to completely reverse engineer this dish. We're going to unlock those old-school, time-tested secrets that make it a total masterpiece. Okay, let's dive right in. First up, the intestines. What we're aiming for here is a clean, crisp texture, a really satisfying snap when you bite into it. The enemy is chewy, tough, pretty much inedible rubber bands. And the secret to avoiding that? Well, it all starts with how you clean them. This right here is the foundation. The 1 flip, 2 scrub, 3 blanch method. You flip it inside out to get right to the source of any weird flavors. Then you scrub with salt and vinegar to get rid of all the mucus and the flour. The flour acts like a magnet, just pulling off any gunk that's left. And finally, a super quick blanch in boiling water gets it ready for the next step.
Okay, now this is where the magic and a little bit of science really happens. This is the cold river technique, and it is the absolute key to getting that snap. It's all about that extreme temperature shock. Going from boiling hot water straight into an ice bath forces all those muscle fibers to contract instantly. It's a neat physical trick that literally locks in that perfect, crispy texture. Now, I have to give you a serious warning here. Some old-school recipes might mention a shortcut using something called white alum. Just don't do it. Seriously, not only does it make the texture all stiff and weirdly dry, but the aluminum can pose some pretty serious health risks. We're talking potential neurological damage. The natural way, with salt, flour, and vinegar, is way safer, and honestly, it gives you a much better, more elastic crispiness anyway.
And here it is, the final secret to success: timing. After all that prep, the intestines go into the soup very last, and for only 30 seconds. The old-timers call it the 30-step rule. Literally, you just count 30 steps. Your visual cue is a slight curl. The second you see that, they're done. Pull them out. You leave them in for even 2 minutes, and congratulations, you've just made rubber bands. All right, now for the other side of our paradox, the blood. What we want here is a texture that's as smooth and delicate as silken tofu, something that just dissolves on your tongue. You know, the secret to silky blood actually starts before you even collect it. You need something to stop it from clumping up right away, an anticoagulant, and the key is this super simple saltwater solution. Having a bowl of this ready is the very first step to making sure you get that perfectly smooth texture. So as the fresh blood is going into that salt water, you need to combine them, but this is a moment where you have to be so gentle. A few slow, easy stirs with a chopstick is all you need. The goal here is just to incorporate it, not to whip it up or agitate it. And this is exactly what happens if you get impatient or stir too hard. You introduce air, and those trapped little air bubbles create what are called honeycomb holes. It makes the texture tough and spongy, and it completely ruins that gorgeous, smooth, tofu-like quality we're going for. Once it's all mixed, the blood just needs to set. So first, you just let it be. Just walk away for about 15-20 minutes until it firms up like a jelly. Then comes the trick to making it sliceable, a really gentle low-heat setting. Steaming it for just a few minutes, or even just pouring boiling water over the top, cooks the outer layer just enough so you can cut it into these perfect little cubes that won't fall apart. All right, we have nailed our 2-star players. We've got our crispy intestines and our silky blood. Now it's time to build the stage they're going to perform on, that soulful, aromatic broth that ties the whole thing together. You know, the broth isn't just an afterthought here, it's the whole ensemble. Every ingredient has a job. Tofu puffs, they're your flavor sponges, soaking up all that rich broth. The pickled greens or bamboo shoots, they add a bright, acidic kick to cut through the richness. And white pepper, you gotta be heavy-handed with it. It adds warmth and covers up any lingering earthy notes. And that final drizzle of lard or sesame oil? That's for the aroma and that beautiful finish. Okay, so we know how to make it, but here's a really important question. Who should actually be eating this? Because it has some incredible traditional benefits, but it is definitely not for everyone. On the one hand, this soup is packed with easily absorbable heme iron, which makes it fantastic for anyone with anemia. It's also really high in protein, so it's great if you're recovering your strength. But
And this is a big but. It's also high in things like purines, sodium, and potassium. So if you're dealing with high blood pressure, gout, or chronic kidney disease, you should probably steer clear.
And, there's another layer to this from a traditional Chinese medicine point of view. Chicken blood is considered warm and dry in nature, which basically means it's more likely to cause what's called internal heat or inflammation in people who are sensitive to that. For them, duck blood is often seen as a much milder, more neutral, and gentler choice.
So when you boil it all down, after deconstructing this whole process, what have we really learned? It really just comes down to a few core principles of good old-fashioned culinary wisdom.
The principles are pretty simple, but they're incredibly powerful. First, temperature contrast is your best friend. That shock from hot to cold is what creates the magic snap. Second, timing is everything. It's totally non-negotiable. Just 30 seconds for the intestines. Third, gentleness is key. Slow stirring and low heat are the only way to prevent a tough texture. And finally, natural is always superior. Salt, vinegar, and flour will always beat out some weird chemical shortcut.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question, right? This dish is clearly not fast food. It demands patience, precision, and a real understanding of how ingredients actually work. So it makes you think. In our world that's all about shortcuts and instant everything, what's the value of preserving this kind of culinary craft? What kind of knowledge do we lose when we forget how to do things the slow, careful, and masterful way? It's something to think about.